Today's the third day of Advent. Our story is the fall, when the serpent convinces the first humans to eat from the fruit of the tree that is forbidden. And the story reveals a lot to us, but the more I read it, the more I find it talking about boundaries and the importance of healthy boundaries. God sets up this garden and gives it to the people and says, here, have this whole thing, and basically you can do anything except don't eat from this one tree. This one tree isn't for you. You've got plenty without it, so it should be no big deal, but it's important to have a boundary. You don't get everything. It's not good for you. It's not good for us to have whatever we want. It's not good for us just to take and take and take. We need healthy boundaries. And so God in God's love sets a boundary for them. It's not because God is angry or because God is mean or God doesn't love them enough. In fact, it's because God does love them. God's law is always given out of love. God's not going to control us and make us do certain things, but God does want us to know that certain things are better for us. And so out of God's love, God gives us law. It's the same way that I tell my kids not to run into the street without looking where they're going, or not to touch a hot stove. It's because I love them and I know that those things are dangerous and could hurt them, and I don't want them to have to experience that. And so out of God's love, God gives us the law. God gives us these boundaries and says, you know what? It's not good for you just to take and have everything. There need to be boundaries. It's how we maintain healthiness. It's how we maintain balance. So this one tree isn't for you. And of course, the people take it anyway, which is still true of us, is it not? A world full of amazing natural resources. But there's a limit to the healthy amount that we should be using those without destroying the planet for future generations or taking all of those resources so they're no longer there. If we don't watch that boundary and we push past it. Working is important. It's part of how our lives work, but there's a limit to what healthy work should look like. And there's an amount of rest that we need. There's an amount of time that we need for rest and for service and for relaxation and time with family. And yet we work and 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 don't pay attention to those boundaries. There's an amount in the same way with the tree. There's an amount that we should have. And then there's things that we don't need. There's an amount that getting everything we think we need, everything we think we deserve, everything we want, getting all of that is unhealthy. There needs to be a boundary. There needs to be a limit. And so, God says this one thing isn't for you. It's a boundary. It's a boundary that Adam and Eve crossed. It's a boundary that we cross every day. And so, as we go through the season of Advent, or even just today, I wonder what boundaries exist in your life that you're not paying attention to. What places do you need to maintain healthier boundaries? Are you working too much? Are you consuming too much? Are you not leaving enough time for service or just for rest? Just to be still and know that God is God? All of us need healthy boundaries in our life, and all of us struggle to maintain them in some way or another. And so take this opportunity to think about that. And then try for this season to be intentional about these boundaries, that we might experience wholeness and balance in God through them. Remember that you are loved, and God's peace be with you.